Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. 888-589-8840 is the number to call. And just to close the loop on this oil supply business, this is a story again from hotair.com referring to a study released by the United States Geological Survey. So again, this is a government agency releasing this information. The bottom line here is their findings about this oil shale formation in the Dakotas and Montana. It represents double the oil and nearly triple the natural gas that geologists thought the reason held 4 years ago. So they've already, because of what they have discovered just this year, saying, look, we have 3 and 4 times as much oil and gas as we thought we had just 4 years ago. So that's my point. We are continuing to discover fresh deposits of this shale oil, so not to fear. The problem is not supply. The problem is not that we're running out of oil. The problem is government, particularly Barack Obama, will not let us get to it. Now, I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about immigration. One of the things that you've heard from people that are trying to sell us this immigration swill, including Marco Rubio, this is the Marco Rubio Permanent Democratic Majority Amnesty Bill, is they're selling this to us on the grounds that it's going to pay for Social Security. It's going to make Social Security solvent. We've got an aging population. We have fewer workers feeding into the plan. We need more workers to prop up Social Security for people that are going to draw. So that's a superficial argument. I'm looking at an article here by Byron York. He examines this fairly carefully, and the reality is that if everything works as the CBO estimates, and remember, the CBO is just going out 10 years, but if you take their figures and project them out into the indefinite future, because that's what we're talking about this flood of illegal aliens coming into the country, Social Security right now is going to go completely bankrupt, become insolvent in 2033. The reality is it's already bankrupt. It's already insolvent. We're just cashing in the IOUs we borrowed from ourselves, or we're just borrowed money. It's gone. It's been spent. So it's just kind of monkey business. I mean, all we've got in the Social Security lockbox is a bunch of IOUs, and that's what's paying for Social Security benefits. That's just printed money. It's borrowed money. That money hadn't been saved. It's long gone. But even those IOUs will be long gone by 2033 if things work as the CBO projects. This is the chief actuary of Social Security, Stephen Goss, and he said he would develop a 75-year analysis as quickly as possible. He did. His report was released on June 28, which was the day after the Senate passed the Marco Rubio Permanent Democratic Majority Amnesty Bill. And according to Goss's calculations, again, this is assuming that everything works just as it's drawn up on paper, which it never does. The Social Security system will become insolvent in the year 2035. So it just buys us 2 years. So don't listen to this swill about how this is going to save Social Security. It will do nothing of the sort. Now, Marco Rubio has been out there saying, look, we've got to do this to get the Hispanic vote. We've got to do amnesty. We're losing Hispanics. Lindsey Graham, we're out of touch with Hispanics. We've got to do amnesty to get Hispanic votes. Well, we got some polling data now from Latino Decisions. Remember, Marco Rubio has been out in front of this thing for months. He's been the main face of this immigration bill. He's been hacking for it. He's been flacking for it. He's been on Rush Limbaugh multiple times trying to sell this thing. So you would think if anybody was going to benefit from this amnesty legislation, it would be Marco Rubio. Here's a poll from Latino Decisions, matches Hillary Clinton up against Marco Rubio. Remember, Mitt Romney got 27% of the Hispanic vote, right? He got beat 71-27 by Obama among Hispanics. Marco Rubio, you know what he's got after all this effort on amnesty? After shredding the conservative base in American politics, going after the Hispanic vote, pandering to them by promising them as many goodies as the Democrats, his poll numbers are at 28%. He's picked up 1 point over where Romney was, and according to Latino Decisions, he would get absolutely waxed by Hillary Clinton 66-28. So it's just the bottom line is it's just not working. It is not making a dent in the Hispanic support. Among Hispanic voters, 31% hold a favorable view of Senator Rubio, just edging the 29% with an unfavorable view. So he's only 2 points up after all this pandering, all this posturing. He's only 2 points up on favorable unfavorables with Hispanics. Meanwhile, Ted Cruz has been an outspoken critic of the Marco Rubio permanent Democratic majority amnesty bill. He's got a better net favorable rating than anybody. He's got a 25% favorable view, 20%. He's up 5. Marco Rubio is down 2. So the point is, this pandering simply is not working for Marco Rubio. And there's a former Mexican official, now get this, he's saying that America needs to take more low-skilled immigrants from Central America, otherwise it's going to bury Mexico. These people come from Central America. They pass through Mexico on their way to the United States, and he's saying you better take them because if they stay in Mexico, we're going to drown. They're going to create a burden for us that we will have to carry. So he's saying, look, if these low-skilled immigrants from Central America, if they stay in Mexico, it's going to kill us. They're going to drag us underwater. So we want them. America, you need to be sure and take them into your country so they will drag you underwater instead of dragging us underwater. Now, here's Nancy Pelosi. Remember, the Republicans saying, look, we've got to pander to the Hispanics in order to get them to vote for us. Here's Nancy Pelosi. And, you know, you listen to the soundbite, and it's obvious that they think that the GOP is just a bunch of saps, that they're a bunch of chumps. They can be played for suckers. They can be played for fools. So it's just amazing to me that the GOP pays any attention to this. All these Democrats out there saying, we just care so much about the Republican Party. We just want so much for them to win the White House. And out of our concern and compassion for them, we want them to pander to Hispanics. We want them to do amnesty because we care so much about the success and the future of the Republican Party. And it breaks our heart to think that they might not win the White House because they didn't support amnesty. We're just thinking about them. Here's Nancy Pelosi.
What's going to happen? I mean, we know that those are the outlines of it, but you've been very tough on the speaker saying he's weak. And how optimistic can you be given the fact that I just cited for you and the views that you're hearing that you're going to get something akin to what the Senate did?
We wouldn't even be where we are right now had it not been that 70% of Hispanics voted for President Obama, voted Democratic in the last election. That caused an epiphany in the Senate, that's for sure. So all of a sudden now we have already passed comprehensive immigration reform in the Senate. That's a big victory. I believe that the members of Congress, many more than are directly affected themselves by the number of Hispanics in their district, will do what is right for our country. And it's certainly right for the Republicans if they ever want to win a presidential race.
Oh, man. She says, look, 70% of Hispanics vote Democrat. So how in the world, and in the same soundbite, she says if the Republicans ever want to win the presidency, they've got to go for amnesty. Well, that just means more voters for the Democrats. Listen to Nancy Pelosi. Now, here is Latino activist. I was so struck by this, I had Rob keep it in the queue. This is a Hispanic activist by the name of Medina. I did not jot down his first name. What's his name again, Rob? Jalisco Medina, and he's talking about Latino voters. This is back in 2009. This is a Democrat saying, look, we have got to do amnesty for one reason, to create a permanent Democratic majority. Let's listen.
When they voted in November, they voted overwhelmingly for progressive candidates. Barack Obama got 2 out of every 3 voters that showed up. And so I think there's 2 things, very quickly, that matter for the progressive community. Number 1, if we are to expand this electorate to win, the progressive community needs to solidly be on the side of immigrants. That will solidify and expand the progressive coalition for the future. And let me tell you, when you are in the middle of a fight for your life, you will remember who was there with you. And immigrants count on progressives to be able to do that. Number 2, we reformed the immigration laws It puts 12 million people on the path to citizenship and eventually voters. Can you imagine if we have even the same ratio, 2 out of 3, if we have 8 million new voters that care about our issues and will be voting, we will create a governing coalition for the long term, not just for an election cycle.
So you think about just how moronic it is for the GOP to go along with this. Nancy Pelosi's out there saying, look, we get 70% of the Hispanic vote. Here's the Hispanic activists. We need to push amnesty because we'll get 2 out of every 3 Hispanics that register to vote. So you got 12 million illegals. We get them all registered. That's 8 million votes for us, 4 million votes for the Republicans. How in the world do the Republicans think this is going to help them? It just boggles the mind, the self-delusion going on in GOP circles right now. So that's what's going on with the whole immigration issue. Let's grab Representative Trey Gowdy, if we can, Rob, clip number 9. Now, Trey Gowdy from South Carolina, this guy's doing good work. This guy, one of the real studs up there on Capitol Hill. And he sees right through this swill about the Marco Rubio permanent Democratic majority amnesty bill. And here's what he had to say about the chances of Marco Rubio's bill in the House.
Well, John, I was moved almost to the point of tears by Senator Schumer's concern for the future prospects of the Republican Party, but we're going to not take his advice. The Senate bill is not going to pass in the House. It's not going to pass for myriad reasons. I support immigration reform. I think the current system is broken, but our framers gave us 2 legislative bodies, and I assume that they did it for a reason. And the House runs every 2 years, with the theory being that we will be closer to the will of the people. Virtually everyone agrees on the broad principles. Where we get ourselves into a little bit of a difference of opinion are the details. So everyone agrees on border security, for instance, but I cannot sell in South Carolina a border security plan where the security comes after the legalization. I can't sell a border security plan where Janet Napolitano gets to tell us the border is secure. I can't sell a border security plan where the executive can turn on and off triggers for politically expedient reasons, nor would I try to sell any of those plans.
So Trey Gowdy, and this is why he could be glad conservatives control the House, it's not going anywhere in the House of Representatives. DOA dead in the water. Focal Point AFR Talk, back with your calls and more. Stay with us.
Sandy Rios in the morning.
The Barack Obamas and the Kathleen Sebeliuses and the people of the IRS, those will be the decision makers. And why do I say that? Because I see the nominees that the president is making to all of these various posts. They are leftists. They believe that life is all about right here, and it's all about power and taking it while you can and manipulating, and they fancy that they can control everything.
Sandy Rios in the morning. Weekday mornings at 7 Central on AFR Talk. We're proud of America, and just like you, we're excited to celebrate our country's independence with our families. While you're grilling, boating, and whatever you do to celebrate, we invite you to listen to AFR Talk July 4th and 5th for special programming to help make your Independence Bash complete. You'll hear some of the best of your favorite programs, along with specials from Ray Comfort, Kirk Cameron, and David Jeremiah. For a complete list of programs, visit afr.net and join us on July 4th and 5th on AFR Talk.
As a business owner, you know the importance of hiring the right employees. The way they interact with your customers and their ability to work with each other can have a major impact on your company. You also have to be able to trust them, so honesty is of the utmost importance. It all comes down to integrity, but that's just the visible part of your business. What about the integrity of your credit card processor? Cornerstone Payment Systems has made this promise, that they will not process payments for businesses that are immoral or offensive. Not only that, but they offer a program called Processing with a Purpose. That simply means that your business has the chance to provide an ongoing donation to AFA for as long as your credit card processing is done by Cornerstone Payment Systems. More information about Cornerstone is